Any questions? How are we doing for time?
Okay, we can take some
Yeah,
questions.
you have time? Anyone? Yes. These concepts could be useful with diverse populations. Yeah. Yes, I do hope that these principles I'm talking about are generalizable to other populations, for sure. So by working with a specific population, we learn to work with all populations. But I think the top of the list should be Aboriginal people, because we have the worst health and because we are a founding nation. So we get special attention. Because that's a question I always get. Why Aboriginal people? Why aren't we studying Iranians or Hispanic populations? And you say, well, here's why. Because we're doing really badly. I'm kidding. Anyone else?
Again, it's not really a question. You've given an opportunity for me to maybe give a couple of examples.
Okay.
You talked about taking time.
Yes.
And I think the difference between Aboriginal philosophies and non-Aboriginal philosophies is everything has to be done like this. Okay, you should have done this by now. We should be here by now. We should have that by now. The assessment should have been 6 weeks ago. And we have been criticized because when we do home visits, sometimes we might just have a cup of tea. But that cup of tea is huge. Like you
Yes.
say, in that particular home visit, we might have learned way more than if I'd said, okay, we've got to do this assessment, then I got to go, and then I have to write the report. It doesn't work that way. And I think the relationship is much more meaningful and will move forward in a more concrete way than if we're trying to look at our things. I've been asked by a non-Aboriginal mental health worker, how long are you going to keep using the residential school for a crutch? Now, that person is supposed to be working with my people. So that's sort of an example of looking at it from a different way. It's not a crutch. It's been our reality, and we're still working through the realities of our legacies. Unresolved issues. I worked with a 16-year-old boy who had a non-Aboriginal friend. They were going to go to a youth dance together after school, and the non-Aboriginal fellow lived quite a ways from the school, so the two of them decided they were going to go to the Aboriginal boy's house after school. He'd stay for supper, then they'd all go to the dance together. And that non-Aboriginal fellow walked into this house, and the boy's mom said, "What the heck is that white man doing in my house? Get him out of here and don't ever have him in here again." So that goes both ways, the anger. You talked about the unresolved anger. And that little 16-year-old wasn't a man, he was a boy. So that's not letting go, and that unresolved stuff is being also passed on because of our own anger and the fact that we haven't healed yet. So again, that takes time to nurture and to allow people to heal. And we have to allow that for our kids too. And a language teacher I met, an elder, he was an elder, was teaching the cultural language in a local school district. It was a non-Aboriginal school. And somewhere somebody found out he wasn't a teacher. He didn't have a teacher's education or a teacher's degree or a teacher's certificate. So they all complained and rallied and said he didn't belong here. And I guess the local school association found out and they had to let him go. Well, who knows better to teach our cultural language than our own people? So I just wanted to use this symposium as an opportunity to just sort of really echo and everything that was said this morning by our visitors and you, Dr. Adams, and the working together part. That's what I'm feeling today, is that maybe we'll have heard something that'll make us rethink our own attitudes and getting that place of comfort in working together. And again, not just in the health field, but in the social field as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So some really interesting ideas that, when you're sitting and having tea with your patient, that the relationship is the central idea, not the diagnosis and treatment. And that's something that your science students will get the gist of. Well, you can be explicit and you can say, I know you're worried about diagnosis and treatment, but really when you're a little more advanced, you'll see that the relationship is central and you need to nurture that first. So that means that you have to not push the point right now about are you taking your medications? You have to back off and say, I want to keep my fruitful relationship with you. Crutch, crazy. I would have been so angry at your worker, because the complex trauma of children, the most usual kind of single trauma is sexual assault. How do you say to someone, when are you going to get over your rape? I would never dream of saying, when are you going to get over the residential school stuff? And if someone said that's probably grounds for dismissal, because they should know better. And you should know, hold them in your office and say, look, if I ever hear that kind of comment again, you're out, because here's the understanding that you need to have. Get that white guy out of here. I thought we were talking about my ex and my mom. And language competencies are funny, eh? How we're told how to teach our own languages. Your teacher needs to be qualified, you need to do it in a classroom, you need to have a presentable curriculum. Strange. At home we have the local non-Aboriginal people keep digging up our artifacts. And as a group, they collectively came to us and they said, we'll return your stuff to you if you build a museum and you house them there. And we said, what? You're going to tell us how to take care of our stuff? If we found a chalice from your church, do you think we'd come and say, you know what, we'll give it back to you if you build a teepee and no, I'm kidding. But yeah, we often get directives, and this idea of self-management, we can deal with that. Thank you very much. It's an important one. Anyone else?
Well, we actually have to move on
with
the agenda, so thank you very much, Evan.
Thank you all very much. It's been great to chat with you.